Alright, we're doing this movie called Forgotten Love, and it's called that for a good reason. So we got this dude by the name of Raphael. He's actually a doctor, like a licensed doctor that works with like the best brain surgeon in the country. He's got a little daughter by the name of Maryisa, and his wife is named Beta. For some reason, the wife was not too happy to be with him. I guess it was like a prearranged marriage or some shit like that. But Raphael's a good dude, you know what I'm saying? So Raphael's got this friend by the name of Jersey who just now became a recent doctor, so they call him Dr. Jersey now. They end up walking down the street, they end up buying up these kids like 10 different newspapers or whatever like that, just so they could post out more stuff, and you know what I'm saying? He's got his news all in the paper or whatever. Anyway, the kid goes over to give his mom money. He ends up tripping in the middle of the street. All of a sudden, these horses coming across. They don't see him. He ends up attacking the kid. The kid's beat up by some damn horses. I'm like, what the fuck? So Raphael goes over. He's trying to save the kid, but they can't take him to the doctor, you know what I'm saying, because the hospital's too far away. So they're going to take him to a clinic. He basically heals him up, but he needs to get proper treatment. When he comes back to the office the next day, the kid's gone. They said the mom took him back home. And the grandma's doing all types of spiritual witchcraft and shit like that, throwing out sage and whatnot. Now, I don't know whether they was able to save the kid or not. The bottom line is the hospitals ain't going to allow it. Why? Because they're poor. They ain't got no insurance like that, so they got to leave it be, right? Well, Raphael's going to find a way to help this kid. Before he could do that, though, he gets his urgent message. He goes back to the house, and he finds out his wife and his daughter's gone. Turns out she ends up taking Maryisa to the forest to meet up with this dude by the name of Jan. She starts kissing him. And I guess that was the person she was supposed to be with all along. It's crazy. Raphael tells Jersey about the situation. He don't know what to do. So he's thinking Beta's probably somewhere where his aunt used to live at, right? So he goes around the area. He gives this kid some money. He's going to show him the way. But we also find out Jersey's in the area, too. He ends up picking up a gun. While tracking down Raphael, he sees this kid beating the snot out of him with a couple other kids. They hit him with a fucking bat and done deal his ass. I'm like, what the fuck? Now, he ended up scaring the kids off with the gun, but bottom line is he watched the whole shit go down before all that. And then Jersey ends up dipping. Next day, the police say Raphael's dead, but here's the thing. There was no body. All they found was a coat. So I know Jersey's thinking to himself, where the fuck did the body go? Then we jump to 15 years later. Marysa's all grown. She's chilling with her best friend, Mikhail. And they got this carriage they're carrying around this piano. Now the thing is, she takes it over to this Jewish bar. She starts playing. But she's not selling the piano. She actually wants to give it away. But here's the thing. She's giving it away so she could play in this bar, so she could actually work at the bar and end up being a bartender. She's basically selling herself to get a job. And they rock with her, so they give her a job. But we found out she really didn't have a home to go back to because apparently the year before, both her parents died. And they pretty much tore down that house. So now she's living in this village with all these nice people. And Mikhail. Oh, Mikhail's not her love interest too. He's got a wife already. So on the other side of town, we see these two random people about to get it on in the barnyard or whatever like that. All of a sudden, the dude pops out of nowhere. We're like, who is this? Turns out it's Raphael. We're like, what the fuck? But the thing is, Raphael's wandering from town to town. All of a sudden, he sees these two people that need help. This chick named Zoe was riding off with the carriage or whatever like that. But the thing is, one of the wheels fell off and her dad fell off the carriage and ended up breaking his arm. So he snaps his dad's arms back in place and helps put the wheel back on the carriage. See, the thing we find out, Raphael's going by this dude by the name of Antonio now. That's his name now. But for the sake of the story, I'm still calling him Raphael. But the reason he's going by Antonio, apparently he has amnesia. He cannot remember anything. So to give gratitude, Zoe's like, look, you can come stay with us. You get something to eat, whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So he stays and pretty much realizes a lot of people need help in this village. So he ends up becoming the doctor of this village. So now Marysa's officially working in this bar, whatever like that. So everybody's chilling, having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Bar activities. You got this dude by the name of Zerf that was trying to get at her forever, but she don't want no part of that. But then come these two dudes, one by the name of Baron, the other by the name of Count Chris. Now you gotta understand, this village is a lot of poor people in it, right? So they're thinking to themselves, why is somebody of noble prestige of a Count Chris being up here? You know what I'm saying? Just in this random ass bar and pub. But the thing is, Chris is really eyeing Maryisa, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to get at that. His first attempt completely failed, but guess what? He got persistency. Zoe and Antonio get to talking, you know what I'm saying? He's helping out around more, you know, Zoe helping out. And we know Zoe's really feeling him, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't hide that shit. But she's not going to keep pushing the issue right now because she knows he has amnesia, you know what I'm saying? So Count Chris is still trying to get at Maryisa or whatever like that. But the thing is, she keeps shooting him down, you know what I'm saying? It's getting to the point where he's like, damn, she really not feeling me like that, right? So it gets to the point he basically goes back home. He's riding a motorbike and I'm like, wait a minute. What time frame is this? Motorbikes? Well, anyway. Then we get some news at the sawmill. Apparently, a tree landed on Micah's legs. I was like, oh shit. Antonio was going to work on Micah, but Maryisa wasn't having none of it, right? This is the first time you see Raphael and Maryisa lock eyes in the movie, but clearly you think to yourself, they don't remember each other. Remember, Raphael's got amnesia, and Maryisa hasn't seen her biological father in like 15 years. All she knew now was Jan, her stepdad. You know what I'm saying? She's very protective over Micah, you know, her best friend. So basically, she wants a professional doctor to work on him. After she chased him out with no choice left, she goes over to the other side to confront, you know, Count Chris or ask the people to help out, whatever like that. Now, his father doesn't really get involved in it, but this man's mom, Suzanne, she's a straight bitch. She's talking about, we don't help the poor, we only help our own kind. So basically, they're not trying to help her, but Chris catches up to her and was like, look, I know a certain doctor, we can get to him, you know what I'm saying, let's go. So they get to this doctor, they help out, you know what I'm saying, get all types of remedies and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So he's just getting bed rest right now. So afterwards, Chris is about to leave, but then she's like, hey, what are you doing later on? He says he's got tickets to a matinee. And then she's like, and then she wants to go along with him, you know what I'm saying? So they go see this romantic movie, they have a good time seeing it. Now, Antonio and Zoe are actually watching the movie at the same time. So there's a lot of people watching this movie. They enjoy each other's company. Chris almost gets a kiss from Maryisa tonight, but you know, she let him wait for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? She's feeling him a little bit now, you know what I mean? But then they got the situation where they was talking the next day, and then, you know what I'm saying, they were talking about their problems of this, that, third, and she feels like, yeah, we're not meant to be together, you know what I'm saying? We're coming from two different worlds, blah, 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 like that, right? Now, on the other side, there's a couple of girls feeling Antonio, but Zoe's at this point like, man, fuck this shit, I'm about to claim my territory. Both Antonio and Zoe late at night playing a game of chess, shit starts getting serious, and guess what? It's time for him to give her the business. She's clapping it all there, Zoe's happy. Then we get to see when Marysa's coming to work, whatever like that, and then she sees a motorbike sitting outside the pub. She goes inside and actually sees Chris out there working at the counter, being a bartender and stuff. Then you got Zareth talking crazy to Chris like, hey, yo, give me my vodka, give me all this other stuff. So he tries to give him his stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then Zareth gets all tough and tries to punch him, whatever like that. And then Chris knocks him on his ass. He's like, fuck out of here. And then he just ends up walking out. Maryisa catches up to him and then kisses him. And then he ends up giving her the business. Then he gives her a wedding ring. They plan on getting married, right? So while that's going on, Zareth is still wandering around outside. Then he sees his motorbike, right? This nigga clips the goddamn brake wire and walks off. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. So then we get this scene where Michael's trying to walk, but unfortunately he can't get through the door and he's pissed off, right? So Michael wants Antonio to work on him. He says, fuck it, yo, just do it. This scene is gruesome. He uses a chisel and a hammer to work on this nigga's legs, yo. Crazy part about it is, it's gonna work. Takes a couple of days. Next day, he's getting up, he's walking around, and everything's all good and gravy. Marysa's so happy. And then she apologized for being so disrespectful to him about his work or whatever. So we get to this point at nighttime where, you know what I'm saying, Antonio's chilling with Zoe, whatever like that. And then we see Chris and Maryisa get on a bike, and we're like, oh shit. So they just ride around the bike. The thing is, he realizes he can't stop. They end up tripping over a tree, and they just collide. They go straight flying off that bitch. We like, what the fuck? They get them both in the barn. Chris's parents come to check on him because they called him. They're going to get the best doctors and all that. But they ain't really had nothing to work with Maryisa. They was like, damn, she could possibly die. So while they were loading Chris up in the ambulance, Suzanne, goofy ass, tells Chris that Maryisa died. I'm like, wow, yo. Because at that point, he was still somewhat conscious. I'm like, Suzanne ain't shit. But while they were talking, Zoe was able to snag some tools off the van. And Antonio did whatever he could to save Maryisa. And by some miracle, he was able to pull something off. But she still needs to get a legit doctor to get popping. So without his memory, he somehow ends up going back to the place he used to work at to talk to Dr. Jersey. Jersey sees his face. He's looking like, what the fuck? But he realizes that Antonio has amnesia right now. He's not remembering anything, so he's going along with everything he's saying. So he goes out there to help out Maryisa or whatever like that. And luckily, she's able to live through it, and she's able to get up and walk around after a while. Maryisa had thanked Antonio for everything, right? And then she ends up taking a trip to the actual door to go visit Chris, right? And the butler ends up answering the door, but she ends up giving this note to the butler to give to Chris. And then she ends up leaving. So we got Chris's dad, he's just sitting there drinking hot chocolate or whatever like that. And then the butler gives him this note. Turns out it wasn't a note at all. It was the ring. He was actually giving the ring back. I'm like, oh, fuck. So he starts doing some investigating in Suzanne's room, right? He ends up finding all these letters that were coming from Maryisa addressed to Chris. And he realized that Suzanne's been hiding all these letters to make sure Chris didn't get them. I'm like, it's fucked up. And that's why he was never able to respond back to her. So when Chris's dad called Chris, he told him the whole situation or whatever like that. And Suzanne got pissed off because she overheard the conversation. So now Marysa's going to work, and guess who pops up at work? Freaking Suzanne. So she knows Marysa's trying to go to school, so basically she's going to give her a bunch of money just for her to stay away from Chris. But then she's like, yeah, I know Chris loves me though, so she ain't take the money. So Suzanne must have knew that plan was going to fail, so she puts up this. She says, if you keep pursuing him, I'll get Antonio locked up for using doctor's equipment to use on you. I was like, what the fuck? Because see, here's the thing. Going under the name of Antonio means that he's not a licensed doctor. And using doctor equipment when you're not licensed is a felony. And you could probably get up like 5 to 10 years in jail. I'm like, what the fuck? So with no choice to protect Antonio, she's going to have to leave Chris alone. So Antonio apparently hears about this. But before that, he ends up talking to this girl at the pub, whatever like that, that kind of was supposed to be Marysa's best friend or whatever. Turns out she was the one that actually heard Zareth confess to cutting the wires off of the damn bike. I'm like, yo, and you kept this information the whole time? And they said the only reason he confessed about it is because he was so mad at himself for Maryisa getting hurt. I'm thinking to myself, nigga, did you think Chris was the only one that's going to be riding around that bike? He's been riding around with Maryisa for like the last month. But we found out he turned himself in and he's getting 3 years in jail. I'm like, he's going to get 3 years in jail for fucking committing murder or trying to? Would you get 5 to 10 on practicing saving people's lives? But the crazy part going to come up next. So after Antonio realizes all this, he's going to willingly turn himself in. Because the thing is, Maryisa left right before Chris was able to get to whatever like that. She had caught a train or whatever, and now Chris don't know where she's going. So this made Suzanne drop the charges on the whole Antonio shit. But Antonio wants to go to prison, but the thing is, they're like, yeah, they dropped the case. You ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You chill. But here's the thing. Antonio tells the guard that's not his real name. And he stole the dude Antonio's identity, and it actually came from a thief. So because of that, they're forcing the police, they're forcing their hands. Next thing you know, he's going on trial. But he's not going on trial for forgery. He's going on trial for using medical equipment but not being in the medical field, you know what I'm saying? And he's willingly testifying to being guilty to it. While this is going down, Chris is getting some information to try to find Maryisa or whatever like that. Of all people, he ends up calling his mom. But he basically forces her hand and says, yeah, I'll tell people about the Jan scandal. It's like, what Jan scandal? Apparently, she might have had something to do with Marisa's stepdad's death. So with no choice, she gave information on where Maryisa is. He finds her, they get to kissing, and Chris tells Maryisa about the trial that's going on, so they basically about to go to the trial. But see, when they call the witnesses to the stand, all the people from the village are like, yo, he's been a great doctor, he's helped us out, he's helped everybody, y'all, multiple times, and everybody's vouching for him. Then they show Mikhail coming to the stand, he's doing like river dances and everything, he's just jumping all around, you know what I'm saying? Just letting you know that he did a pretty damn good job with his legs. So now while Maryisa and Chris are in the carriage, whatever that, Chris has got some information now, and he tells her about, Antonio being one of the best brain surgeons or whatever like that. And considering her injuries in the head, it was a fucking miracle that she even survived. She's putting 2 and 2 together. But she starts remembering stuff about her biological dad. Meanwhile, back at the trial, they call Dr. Jersey to the stand. Now, you're thinking to yourself, is he going to, vouch for him, whatever? He talks about the medical field, this, that, the third, that nature. But he really didn't vouch for Antonio like that, you know what I mean? I'm like, nigga, why not? And then Maryisa and Chris come in the courtroom, you know what I'm saying? And then finally, she comes up with some proof. He realizes that's Raphael, that's her father. And literally while he was in the courtroom, certain stuff started coming back to him, and he realized that's his daughter too. It's crazy. And everything's all hunky-dory. The judge exonerates him, he's not guilty. Because when they figure out that is really Raphael, who is an exonerated medical doctor, they can't call no crimes against him, you know what I'm saying? So they had to throw the case out. Next thing you know, Chris and Maryisa get married, and Raphael and Zoe get married too. A happy ending for all. And then I thought to myself, hold up. Nothing really happened to Dr. Jersey, so why was he acting like he couldn't defend him? It didn't make any sense. Hell, he was out there doing favors for him when his daughter was about to die. You know what I'm saying? Forgotten Love on Netflix. Check it out.